one in the college football playoff selection committee rankings. We're now joined by head coach Kirby Smart. We'll ask Coach Smart to make an opening statement, and then we'll take your questions. Coach Smart.
We're excited to be here. Great opportunity for our football team. Really proud of the job they've done this year to get this opportunity to play on one of the largest stages there is in college football. I know our players are excited about that. They put a lot of intense hard work in this week, as well as the entire season. And we tell them all the time, they've earned this opportunity. So embrace it, enjoy it. It's one of the best competitive environments there is in all of sports. So our guys are really excited about it, looking forward to it.
Thank you, Coach. And we will now go to questions. We will first go to Mike Griffith. Mike, if you'd unmute your line and ask the question.
Coach, could you update us on the availability status of Jamari, Christopher Smith, Kendall Milton, and Kieris Jackson, please?
Yes, we're hopeful to have all four of those guys able to play. They've been able to participate in parts of practice all week and feel good about them. But again, it'll boil down to game time decision, how they are in warm-ups and how they look.
Again, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function and we will call upon you. We'll next go to Chip Towers. Chip, you're free to go and unmute.
Yeah, Coach, it seems like we've finally dispatched with the mentor protege talk with you and Coach Saban. I just wonder if you can just, update us a little bit on your relationship. Obviously, it's been 6 years since you've been over there, but I assume he still remains somewhat of a focal figure in your life. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I had a tremendous time while I was at Alabama, accomplished a lot of great things, and very appreciative of the things I got to grow as a coach there and raise, a family, and all my kids were born there. My wife still has a lot of friends there in the Tuscaloosa community. So it's been a big part of it. Coach and I are, both, I'm very appreciative of our relationship. I think a lot of him. He's been a lot in my career, as he has a lot of coaches out there in the country. And I think you appreciate the job he does more when you're gone than maybe when you were there. Because when you move on, you appreciate the fact that he works really hard. He doesn't ask any of his assistants to do anything that he doesn't do. And he holds everybody to a high standard. So he and I, we don't communicate daily or anything, but I got a lot of respect for him. And he spends some time in the summer, up around where my parents live. But it's not like we get to keep in touch a lot. We both have our own families and own things going on.
Next question will come from Connor Riley. Go ahead, Connor.
Hey, Kirby, you have two new corners, compared to last year's Alabama game, and Darian Kendrick and Keely Ringo. How have they developed, and where are they sort of at entering this game when they're going to have to defend Alabama's very talented wide receivers?
I think both guys have improved throughout the year. They've got a lot of areas that we've really tried to concentrate on and try to help them out, and understanding leverages, knowing where your help is, man-to-man technique, everything there is to play at corner. They'll be going against two of the very best in our conference in this game, and they've got some really
recording in
receivers.
progress.
And they also have a distributor that is elite at getting the ball to them. So it's a big challenge. Nobody's really covered these two guys very well, because they're certainly excellent wideouts, and the quarterback's done a tremendous job getting the ball to them.
Again, if you have a question, use the raise hand function and we will call upon you. Once I call upon you, if you will unmute your line, and you will be able to ask Coach a question. So if you have questions, please hit the raise hand function. Our next question will come from Blaine Gilmer. Go ahead, Blaine.
Hi, Coach. Congratulations on the season you've had to this point. Just wanted to ask you, at this point in the year, how much are you able to, by the end, do a lot of self-scouting and things like that? Or at this point, are you kind of, the DNA is you are who you are and you just have to improve at what you do?
It's a combination of both. We self-scout each and every week. We had the great fortune the last 2 weeks of going through our entire season and trying to look at what our strongest tendencies are, what are things we can do, what are other people doing that might give us an edge. We're always looking to tweak things, change things, but at the same time, we want to be able to do what our kids know.
Our next question will come from Allison Mastrangelo. Go ahead, Allison.
Hey, Kirby, overall, just how's the mindset been of your team going into this game, and really what is the biggest game of the season for them? And when are you guys getting to Atlanta, since you don't have that walkthrough day?
We'll come to Atlanta tomorrow, like a traditional road game for us. We'll travel over tomorrow, very similar to how we did last week, going over to play Tech. Mindset's been great. The energy's been great. I think our guys have really been focused. I think it's very important as a coach that you curb the enthusiasm. You have it under control. This is one of those weeks you got to be careful. You don't leave the battle out on the practice field. You want to make sure they're ready to go, because it's going to be a really tough physical game, and you don't want them to use it all in practice, where our guys have been pretty spirited and getting after it.
And if you have a question, use the raise the hand function and we'll get to you. We'll next go to Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel. Go ahead, Edgar. Edgar, I think you're breaking up a little bit. We can come back to you. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get it to Coach. We have a follow-up from Blaine Gilmer. Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, Coach, on the flip side of that, defensively, I'm sure.
We lost Blaine there. We'll go to Scott Rabelais. Scott, go ahead, please.
Hey, Kirby, kind of a broader question for you. Your school and Alabama are only 2 of 4 schools in the SEC that haven't changed coaches or will change coaches in the past 2 years. What concerns does that make you have for your profession? Where it's going in terms of the lack of maybe patience people have with the jobs coaches do these days?
Scott, I haven't really thought about it. I've been pretty busy this week. There is a lot of change, and I don't spend a lot of time thinking about things outside my control. Just off the hoof, it makes me worry. Because we're trying to change young people's lives, trying to win championships, trying to make sure guys get their education. And we all know that this game, especially in the SEC, the amount of pressure that's put on coaching staffs to win now is immense, and never is that shown more than in the stats you just mentioned. So I think you have to understand when you get into this business and the nature of this business and the high stakes that are involved in the SEC coaching, that's part of it. And it's not for everybody. And I think people find that out when they get in our league, not only how physically tough it is, but the grind in recruiting and year-round transfers and portal, it's taxing. So you better have a very quality staff, a great administration, and you better be able to manage a lot of situations.
And if you have questions, we raise your hand. We'll next go to Mike Griffith. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, I know this is off your radar again. I appreciate you answering these questions, but the coaching carousel has been big news. In Billy Napier and Brian Kelly, those are 2 coaches you're familiar with. Just your thoughts on what it says that a Notre Dame coach would leave Notre Dame for the SEC, and your past experience with Coach Napier.
Yeah, again, I haven't had much time to think about it. It's been a really busy week here with recruiting starting up and the games. But I think both those guys are tremendous coaches. Got a lot of respect for both of them. Know both of them personally, and I know they're excited for their new starts with their new programs.
All right, next we'll go to Chip Towers. Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, talking about coaching movement. Coach Bobo found himself out of a job this past week. I just want to know you guys are tight. You've done it in the past. Have you brought him on in any kind of way to get ready for this game? And Will that be something you try to do going forward?
Really haven't had much time. Just pretty big game lined up this week. So my focus has been on our team and preparing our team to the utmost of our staff's ability. And really, I've tried to shut my phone down and focus. There's so much outside things going on that as a coach, you can get distracted pretty easy with what's going on between people going to see your commits and all the coaching changes where I'm trying to be committed to these kids and the guys on the field and getting them prepared. So I really haven't thought about it much.
Our next question comes from Anthony Dasher. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, Coach. I just want to ask you about George Pickens, kind of how he came through the Georgia Tech game physically, and is he at a point where we can maybe expect some more reps from him this weekend?
We'll have to wait and see. He's done a good job in practice. Physically, he was fine from the Georgia Tech game. He didn't play many snaps, but he's been in a lot of practice reps, getting confidence back and starting to become his own self. And I think that's important.
Our next question comes from Mark Weiser. Go ahead, Mark.
Kirby, you mentioned going Friday to Atlanta. This is your fourth time as head coach in the SEC championship game. Does your team's Friday and game day routine look the same each time outside of doing this today? Do you switch it up? Is the team going to a movie or anything tomorrow night?
We typically keep the same routine based on the game we have on Saturday. We don't change that. And it's usually the same routine that we keep throughout the season based on what time the kickoff is. So we'll stay with our traditional schedules.
We'll go back to Tyler Griffith. Go ahead, Tyler.
Thank you about this Alabama pass rush. What just makes that group so successful? And also Will Anderson Jr. Can you just talk about what makes him and that Alabama pass rush so successful?
Talent. They play with a tremendous effort. They got a really talented group. Their ability to push the pocket and disrupt the pocket is really good. They've got really good edge rushers. They've got tremendous talent in Will Anderson. They've got other guys who've played really well throughout the year. They are able to push it on, two sides. There's 4 points of pressure in a pocket, and they push it on the edge and up the middle. So as they melt the pocket in the interior, those guys on the edge get an opportunity to make plays and push the quarterback back. So they've done a tremendous job affecting the quarterback and getting sacks and disrupting the quarterback throughout the year.
We'll go back to Connor Riley. Go ahead, Connor.
Hey, Kirby, given the enormity of this game, does your attention to recruiting at all change this week, or does it even take on a greater focus, given obviously you're now allowed to go in home and visit prospects around the country?
As far as recruiting this week, our focus is on the game. Obviously, we can't really do much in terms of going out and doing things. We try to get a few guys out here and there. Our schedule is pretty much Wednesday nights are recruiting during the season, so we follow that schedule. And Thursday nights in season are scheduled for recruiting. So we try to get a few guys out here and there because it's permissible now. But the focus is on the game, obviously, and preparing our players to be at the best they can be at for this game.
Our next question will come from Oscar Colariga. Oscar, go ahead.
Hello, thanks so much, Coach. Here in Mexico and Latin America will be broadcast the ACC Championship. Could you say some words to all the Mexican and Latin America fans with great passion for the football? It's a big game. It's a huge game here in this country. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope everyone down in Mexico enjoys the game and gets to watch it and entertained by a great game on a great stage. And we're certainly very appreciative in the SEC of all the coverage we get outside the United States. And it's a great opportunity to kind of advertise our conference and show that it's the best in the country.
Okay, our next question will go to Alan Cole. Go ahead, Alan. Alan, if you'll unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
You spoke a little bit about Bryce Young in the teleconference on Sunday, but what kind of challenges he presents specifically, quarterback you haven't faced, and how have you guys been kind of simulating that during the week? Has there anybody been playing his role in practice specifically?
Yeah, you don't have a lot of options. We go good on good, so we get to go against Stetson quite a bit. who's got some similarities. Bryce is just elite with his touch, his accuracy, decision making. His release is so quick, and as I've told our players, he's got tremendous spatial awareness. He sees the field really well. I mean, really well. So he feels things and understands where holes are in coverage, and he knows where his targets are. They've done a tremendous job teaching him and understanding coverages of how to attack them. But at the end of the day, it's his mobility and his accuracy and his quick release that make him hard to defend.
Our next question will go to Jeff Spiegel. Go ahead, Jeff.
Kirby, we saw in the Iron Bowl how difficult it is to throw a knockout punch against Alabama. They just keep hanging in there, and you've seen evidence up close and personal of that in games you've had with them. How key has that been to Nick Saban's success there?
I think it's important to anybody's success. I mean, if you're going to win games and win close games, and you're going to play in the SEC especially, you're going to play really high competition, which forces you into close games. You want to be able to win games in the fourth quarter. You build your program based on the belief that you can be a dominant team, and you always want to dominate the fourth quarter. There's not a team out there that won't admit that the fourth quarter is the most important one in terms of going out and being a dominant physical team. A lot of that has to do with depth. A lot of that has to do with conditioning, but those all play a factor, and we take a lot of pride in that here.
Coach, next we'll go to Trey Wallace. Go ahead, Trey.
Hey, Coach, you recently got to play a quarterback like Hendon Hooker, who's been able to get outside the pocket and make plays, kind of like a Bryce Young. Is it good for your defense to be able to already play a quarterback kind of like Bryce Young in the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know that I would draw that comparison. Very different style offenses in terms of what you're referencing. Similarity being they're both mobile, but very different because Hendon's a real big physical guy that runs with power and runs design runs. Bryce doesn't run out of necessity. He runs because he can, and he's really good at scrambling to throw or run. So I don't know that there's a lot of similarities between those two.
Coach, we'll go to Lance McCurley. Lance, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so Stetson said on Monday that he's really progressed, since this last Alabama game. And he said something along the lines of when he's not trying to force throws, he says that incompletions don't really kill you. Can you kind of talk about his progression from then to now and his ability to extend the play and how important that is, especially against this Alabama defense that features guys that have been previously mentioned like Will Anderson?
Yeah, Stetson's gotten a lot better through experience, right? I mean, the best way to grow as a football player is to play. He's gotten an opportunity to play, and he's gotten an opportunity to throw to some skilled players, and he's distributed the ball well to make the strength of our offense, the number of players we have out there that are able to make plays. And it's kind of been different each game who's stepped up and made some plays for us, and that makes you feel comfortable that if you have to rely on different people, he's prepared to do that. But his improvement has really come through the work with our offensive staff, the players around him, and his commitment to getting better and growing. And that was one of his first games in a big time environment last year. And I think that experience is invaluable in terms of his growth this year. And the more games you get to play in, the better you get.
And next we'll go to AP Stedham. Go ahead, AP. Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Coach. Coach, when did you sense that Brock Bowers would become a major contributor to your program? And has he done anything this year that surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, we felt like in spring practice, probably after the first 3 or 4 days when we put pads on, you never really know what you have in a player until the pads come on and somebody's got to go hit somebody, and they're not shying away from it. Once he got into contact, and he's got really good toughness, he's got great lower body strength, he's got great pass catching radius, and he's got good speed. So those things combined to make for a good tight end. The fact that he's been so composed has probably surprised me the most. It's not like been a moment too big for him. He doesn't, it doesn't matter to him whether he's playing in the backyard, he's playing our defense against the scout team, or he's, playing Clemson in the opening game. for him, he wants to do it the right way. It's important to him to do it the right way. So the pressure doesn't tend to get to people like that because they put so much pressure on themselves.
Our next question will come from Drew Hubbard. Drew, go ahead.
Hey, Kirby, you and your team have talked a lot about skull sessions over the course of the season. And I just want to know, for you and your staff that are in, like you said, very high stakes jobs, have you guys gotten anything out of doing skull sessions with your players over the course of the season?
Yeah, we've gotten, I mean, a lot of times the staff gets more than the players get. They get to see a side of the players they may not have seen. They get to meet players they might not have normally gotten to know. You usually have a recruiting coach, a position coach, maybe a coordinator, but throughout these sessions, we've been able to kind of mix and mingle, and maybe a receivers coach gets to hang out with the defensive lineman, and you learn more about the team, and it certainly helps in terms of feeling connected.
We have time for 2 more questions. We'll start with Trey Wallace. Go ahead, Trey.
Hey, Coach, talking about the unity at running back, with Kendall Milton being kind of banged up the last few weeks, how have you seen that from Zamir and Cook, and being able to not be selfish with the football this year and all of them taking care of their job?
Yeah, I've always felt that way. I don't feel like it's been just this year thing. That room is selfless. They play on special teams. They fight, scratch and claw for team victories. They protect the quarterback in blitz pickups. They sacrifice their own bodies. They do what we ask them to do, and they're great teammates. I think Dale McGee does a tremendous job in his room of selling team first. And those guys, I mean, we've had so many contributors in our program from the running back room that contributed outside of just carrying the ball in terms of leadership and special teams. I think it's been great.
Our final question will come from Tyler Griffith. Go ahead, Tyler.
How much different is this Alabama offense, this year from the Alabama offense you faced last year? I know they got a new quarterback, but also with the new offensive coordinator as well.
Well, there's some similarities. There's some concepts they carry over because they have really good skill players. So a lot of that stuff carries over. You can see some identity traits of Coach O'Brien and some of the things he's done from the Texans and down in Houston. But for the most part, some of it's similar. And then Bryce Young, he brings about a different element than Mac did in terms of movement, extending plays. He's done a lot of really good things, and I think what they've done offensively has certainly fit him well.
Coach Smart, thank you for joining us today. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, guys.